My name is William Redpath, as you've probably guessed from the name on my tile by now. And to those of you who don't know me, I think I know most people on this call. But basically, as you can see there on this slide, my role this year is Engagement Growth Director for JCI UK. So it's all about engaging with our members, thinking about how we can get more members. So a big part of that, of course, is trying to think about how we can get people involved in projects, because really at its core, that is what JCI is all about. And a big part of this evening really is thinking about, well, what good stuff is already going on in our local organizations around the country, but also what things can we collaborate with. And we've seen some great organizations are going to be telling us a bit more about that in due course. But what things are going on that we can collaborate with and you can tell your members about in your local organizations that they can get their teeth into. So really that's my role. I'm all about trying to engage and grow the organization. So I think, Phoebe, do you want to, this is my selfie slide. This is my selfie slide. Do you want to maybe grab a selfie with everybody? Does that work? And we can
yes,
on our social media channels if everyone's okay. So I'm just going to wave. You've taken it already. You can tell we rehearsed this, folks.
All right, everybody just give us a big smile. Done.
Thank you, Phoebe. Wonderful.
No worries.
Consummate professional, and there's I can see some more people joining the event now. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I think I'm just going to stop sharing as a few more people are joining us, and I'm going to share just a quick poll with you all, if you just bear with one moment. And it's just going to be a check-in. So we're going to be using, those of you who attended our Make the Most of Your Membership event last week, we're going to be using our live feedback tool, which is Mentimeter, of course. So if you haven't used Mentimeter before, it's this. It's a live feedback tool, and the way you access it is by going to this website here, www.menti.com, and using this code. So 74855595. And we're going to have 3 separate polls tonight. So 3 separate codes. just to keep, yes, and people figured it out. Thank you. So how are you feeling this evening? So maybe you're feeling awesome, maybe you're a bit tired, and maybe you're feeling excited about these lighter evenings, hopefully just around the corner with the clocks changing, which is awesome. Yep, pretty exciting. Nobody's tired just yet, which is great. Good to see. Despite it being a Thursday evening, I've maybe made a bit of a rookie error there, Phoebe, and I'm just downing some coffee at 10 to 7 on a Thursday night. I might pay for that later, but we'll see what happens. But it's all good. Good to see some people are feeling awesome as well. That is super. So we'll give you another couple of seconds if you just want to participate with our poll this evening. There are a couple of other polls which would be good just to get your input into as well. Okay, super. Thank you very much for participating with that. So I'm just going to seamlessly jump over to another poll. So I'm just going to move out of this one and open another one just real quick. And we're going to have one on your expectations then. So we've got, this is our 2nd out of 3 polls. And we'll have something that you're looking forward to tonight. And I think this is just an open poll. So this is something I think you can just contribute to just in your own words. So it's a new code now. So we've got 84155360. So something you're looking forward to tonight. Maybe it's a bit of networking with some other people. I know from the last event that we ran, people were eager to do a lot more networking. So hopefully we can facilitate that for you. And or maybe you're just hoping to find out a bit more about JCI RISE, or maybe you're hoping to find out a bit more about JCI. Maybe you're not a JCI member and you'd like to find out a bit more about our organization and the work that we do. So networking is front and center. And the way these polls generally work is that the more popular an answer, the bigger the word, as you may have guessed. Hearing about RISE, inspiring project ideas, of course, and how we can get involved in our local communities, do some good works. Learn about JCI, yeah, me too. All good, some new ideas, yeah, perfect. So we can see there's a real mix. Get more info about JCI or about RISE, yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully, again, we can tell you a bit more about RISE this evening, and importantly, how you can get involved in that wonderful campaign. So just one more of these, I promise. One more poll with one more code, and then we can get cracking for reals with this event. And really then it's just the final poll with a new code, which you'll see in a second, 34402511. And it's just how much you know about JCI RISE. So we noticed there's a few people there looking to find out a bit more about it. So maybe you don't know what it is, maybe you've heard of it, but not much else. Maybe it's something you heard of last year, a few announcements and emails. Yeah, so real mix. Yeah, so know a lot about it. I should start picking on people, Phoebe. What do you think? And find out how much they know. That'll be a bit cruel. Chris Adamson is somebody I think that knows a lot about JCI RISE.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Of course you do.
I think you should pick on some people. No, we're gonna be nice.
No, not at all. We'll be nice. We'll be nice. That's why everyone's here, to find it a bit more. So heard about it, not much else. Yeah, good stuff.
I'm just looking at Melissa's facial expressions.
Is that a good litmus test?
That's a good cue when you check Melissa's
Good cue.
face.
Yeah. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that. Good stuff. Okie dokie. So that's fine. So a few people might have heard about it. Some people don't know what it is. That's okay. And some people know a lot about it. So real mix again tonight. So that is super. But that's the whole point, really. We're going to try and support you tonight to find out a little bit more about JCI RISE. And with that, we'll do a little bit of an introduction to that. So basically, JCI RISE, JCI RISE, it was actually described, it does have some goals, and we can see them here in front of us. So it's a campaign which was launched really last year, and it was all really to do with thinking about what's the world going to be like after this pandemic is, well, over, and we've started to return to some sort of normality. And it's really got three main drivers in it. And it's all about thinking of rebuilding economies, empowering workforces, and supporting mental health in the aftermath of COVID-19. So that's really what the goals are with it. And certainly in terms of why it's important, we're trying to think about a couple of things. Really, we all know, we've all heard that there's a lot of small businesses out there that have struggled during COVID-19 and have seen a significant drop in revenue. And I know there's been a lot of initiatives going on locally about supporting the local businesses in our areas, but they are the center of our communities. And really, JCI as an organization is trying to look at ways in which we can support these small businesses, not just to survive, but to thrive in this kind of post-lockdown situation. We also can't ignore the very real human impact of people losing jobs and the emotions that that brings. So all of which have been amplified by isolation. And I'm sure we can all tell stories, whether it's in our own personal experience or just through people we know, friends or family members that are either on, maybe they've been furloughed, maybe they've been laid off in their jobs and they're just struggling a bit. So really, again, the second part of it is JCI members, we want to look at ways to encourage entrepreneurship and engage the workforce. And it's all really, I think, a big part of that, of course, and I'm sure some of the members will agree with me, it's about destigmatizing that whole mental health conversation and improving awareness of that in our local communities. So it's kind of really then how we can get involved in it. Well, we're going to find out, hopefully, through some of the inputs that we're going to hear this evening. And the purpose of tonight is very much to show the real opportunities to get involved in local projects in your area, either through inspiration from a local organization or through one of our partners who's come along this evening. And a couple of people have asked me about why RISE is different. Well, it's very much, this is a slogan I'm borrowing from my BNI membership, but never mind. Borrowed, the best ideas are borrowed. So JCI RISE really is all about being specific. And really, it's the hope is that by focusing on those core things, by encouraging entrepreneurship, by empowering the workforce and supporting positive mental health, by focusing on those, we can make real forward strides in those areas. And there was a couple of points, I think, as well. There's some great resources and some great material you can find online with this. And I think I'd really encourage you to look at some of the comments from last year's World President Itai, just talking about some of the amazing ideas behind RISE, and he gives you a really good background to it and really just support some of the stuff that we've mentioned already around trying to support those areas. But if we can keep those things in mind about RISE, about developing business, about empowering our workforce and supporting positive mental health in this post-COVID world, that's very much where we want RISE to be. And the hope is that through JCI, by focusing on those areas, we can start to make a real impact. So that is the idea. But what we'll do is, that's enough for me, really, because where this event is hearing all about our local organisations. And the first one that we're going to hear from here is JCI London. So if Emmanuel's there, if you're around, if you wouldn't mind maybe unmuting yourself. Are you there, Emmanuel? He's around somewhere.
Already, William.
Good stuff, good stuff. Well, just to introduce Emmanuel, Emmanuel's our president this year in JCI London, so our biggest local organisation. And I know, Emmanuel, you've been making some great strides with, and some great plans, I think, in place about what you want to do this year. But not to steal your thunder, I'll pass things over to you. So I'll stop sharing my screen now. So I'll pass things over to you if you want to maybe take it from here.
Thanks very much, William. And thank you, everyone, for having me tonight. It's really great to be here and to talk about the RISE initiative, which has been very prevalent and very, very important for JCI as an organization. So tonight I've got with me our 2021 Business Development Director, who's also taken the role of the Deputy President for 2021 in JCI London. So I will split this into two sort of sessions. I'll do the first bit, talk about two of our projects, one that we've already run and still work in progress, and then I think two of them which are about to take place. But yeah, you still get to know about the details. So yeah, first one is with Step Up Youth. So back in February, we joined forces with Step Up Youth London, and essentially what we did was to go outside to the Woolwich community around southeast of London to distribute food parcels. And the good part was that we got funding from National Lottery. And what was the impact? So the impact was that we were able to get these food items to at least 30 households. So on average, if we're looking at 2 people per household, then that's about 60 lives which has been impacted. And that falls under supporting mental health. Maybe not directly, but you'd realize that people have lost their jobs, as William was hinting earlier, during this pandemic. People who are depressed, people who cannot financially afford decent meals, and this is the whole point of the projects that we run with Step Up Youth. There will be a few more later on this year. There's another project that we are running with Step Up Youth, which is around training the youth, and also connecting them with businesses, upskilling them, giving them opportunities to take on internships or work experience, and that's in collaboration with BPP. So you're going to hear more from Miriam, who will be talking about that in a minute. The next one that I'll talk about is an upcoming project. So if some of you are already aware, JCI London has a project that we've been running, and it's won a few awards in the past. It's called JCI London to Ghana, and this year that's something that we're looking to run again. And I'm in talks with the Rotary Club in Ghana, and also there's another Rotary Club in the United States of America that we're looking to solicit some funds or raise some funds from them. Essentially, this time round, we want to purchase some equipment that will enable the youth to start their own businesses. So something like trucks back in sub-Saharan Africa, trucks, and also other equipment that will enable them to start some petty trading. Previously, what we've done was to purchase mosquito nets. That was, I think, the first one. The second time, laptops, learning resources, materials, books, pens, pencils, etc. were purchased and sent to the northern region of Ghana, which was very, very impactful. So this time around, we're trying to liaise it or link it to the RISE initiative. So yeah, I'm having a conversation by end of this month with the Rotary Club and see how we can progress with that. And that obviously falls under motivating the workforce, and then also business recovery. So again, just to amplify the fact that all our projects that we're running under the RISE initiative do fall in line with the key focus areas. So at this point, I will hand over to Miriam Kayema. Miriam will talk about Link Up London and our partnership with BPP.
Good evening to everyone. Thank you, Emmanuel. So what else JCI London is trying to do is to meet a new market demand together with a non-profit organization called Link Up London. So due to COVID, the organization has noticed a huge increase for volunteering consulting services for their charity organizations. And as JCI London and general JCI members have really wide range of skills, different professional backgrounds, who want to or desire to make a change, then I think it's just a perfect match to make, to give a helping hand to local organization and businesses who need professional skills. So we want to do more and be more supportive for the charitable organizations and help them to achieve more. And we hope that through this forward thinking, we can help them to meet their goal, which is to adapt, survive and thrive in this current climate. Perhaps you've seen on our Instagram page, on our new Instagram page, JCI London, we have released short videos with sharing key tips from different areas. So these are all from JCI London members, for now JCI London board members, but we will try to kind of have it ongoingly throughout the year. So this is some key attraction that will go and out there to let people know that they can come and provide their skills. And another thing what we have is collaboration with PPP. So this is University School of Business and Technology. University has many students from bachelor's up to PhD who are looking for mentors, and they really wish to get the real world experience. They have a lot of theoretical experience, but not so much hands-on. And again, we thought to kind of make the match there and go with this mentorship scheme, which is really amazing. The matching, it's done personally, you know, one-to-one, really find the right person, the right mentor for the mentee. And we are organizing introduction workshop where personal stories will be shared later on this year, and hopefully get more mentors and more matches and amazing stories shared. So both of them are really in line with the RISE. The first one is really for the business aspect, and the second one is more individual for the career aspect. And also, last but not least, we also trying to go more forward with the mental health part as well. We started with doing a short campaign on our Instagram page, if you have noticed. So support there, sharing good and positive vibes and tips for bettering mental health. And I believe that we will have great initiatives and ideas from there as well later down the year. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miriam. And can I just sort of reiterate and speak about the impact of those two separate initiatives? So the one with Link Up London, as Miriam clearly said, we've recorded short snippets of videos sharing strategic advice or tips to non-governmental organizations or non-profit entities, and we've been able to impact at least 50 non-profit organizations across London. And also with BPP, this is an official partnership that we've just finished with, or that's just been finalized. We are going to be making announcements in due time, and this is something that we've been working on as JCI London from last year. So it's quite a big one for us. And we are looking to have this for the foreseeable future, and for other leaders that are going to take our place or succeed us, you know, after 2021, because this projects that we're starting with, which is the trainee programs and the apprenticeships, and again, which is with Link Up London, Step Up Youth, we are hoping to make sure that this goes on in the foreseeable future and not just 2021. So that's the impact that we're looking to have, and making sure that the workforce are skilled, and are, you know, making very good use of their potential or their opportunities. Yeah, so at this point, we'll take a few questions, because I know we still have a few minutes to go. So if anyone has any questions, please do feel free.
No problem. Yeah, and if anyone does have any questions, the easiest way to manage that is probably if you use the raise hand function, and then we can bring that through. One question, while maybe people are thinking, one question I had was about something you mentioned at the very beginning, Emmanuel, if you don't mind. You mentioned that, did I hear you right? You mentioned that you've got some money from the National Lottery. Is that right?
So we got funding from the National Lottery. That was with Step Up Youth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
how did you go about securing that, or how did that work?
Well, that is a question that needs to be posed to Step Up Youth.
Oh, right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I went through the process, obviously with the founder of Step Up Youth. She told me how she went through that process, and you know, it took a few steps to finally get that funding secured. So if that's something that you really want to find out about, I'm more than happy to share.
No, it's all good. I think it's a great example, and pretty much all of your projects there, and thank you, Miriam, as well for your contribution. Great examples of collaboration there, I think, across the board. Super, really good. Excited to see maybe some of those being entered for some awards. Who knows? Later this year, it'd be really exciting. Okay, so thank you for that. Does anybody have any questions for either of our guests from JCI London this evening? Are we all good? Give it another few seconds. Speak now or hold your peace. Good stuff. Well, if anyone does want to find out a bit more about that, I'm sure folks can maybe get in touch with you guys, maybe by email or LinkedIn, maybe Emmanuel as well, or at a future event. Who knows? We might even meet in person in the future, and they could even ask you face to face. We never know. So guys, thank you so much for that input this evening. Really appreciate it. And it's wonderful to hear there's so much activity continuing into this year, because it's stuff that you've been working on since 2020, of course. So congratulations on all your success so far. And thank you for that input this evening. So I think what we'll do next is we'll come on to our next speaker, which is Afsana from the Prince's Trust. So Afsana, if you're there, if you wouldn't mind maybe taking yourself off. Yes, you are unmuted. Thank you. So I'm just going to spotlight you just now. And if you wouldn't mind maybe taking us through some of the stuff. I don't know if you have any slides or anything you'd like to share this evening. Or?
Yes, I do. So
cool.
Technical, okay. Hopefully, fingers crossed that I won't have any technical problems. But if it suddenly crashes, then I'll have to resort to just verbal.
No, you're okay. No problem.
Okay.
You should be able to kick me off there, Afsana.
Okay. I'll try and share my screen, but I just wanted to say thank you for inviting us to participate and giving us this opportunity. I'm Afsana Lashow. I'm head of community engagement for the Prince's Trust. I'm actually responsible. There are 6 of us, and we're divided across the regions and countries because we cover Northern Ireland and Scotland. We call them countries. It's just a term we use internally. And I'm responsible. I have quite a wide portfolio, which includes volunteering, partnership engagement, youth participation, and I also have marketing and communications functions. So quite a broad area. The presentation I want to share today is just to give you some insight into what the Prince's Trust does, for those of you who may not be familiar. And then I want to end it, and William, do stop me if I, feel happy to cut me off if we don't get enough time for questions, because I've got a little film at the end as well. And one of the things I want to get across is I think we have a common goal. I know a bit about JCI. I've met William earlier on a couple of months back. And our common goal, like yours, is to empower young people and empower them and support them so they can actually make change in their own communities. And so our goals are very similar, and it's in that vein that I want to do this presentation. So I will try and share my screen. Thank you, host. Right.
I'll stop sharing mine there.
Okay. So can you let me know if you can see it?
Should be able to share now if you want to give it a try. Just like that.
Right, so I will try it. Right, here we go. Slideshow. Ooh.
So are you able to, I think you
Can
might still need to press the big green button there, the share screen button if possible.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
It's all good. It's all good.
I can see it. I can see my own presentation, but I can't see, unfortunately. So just give me a minute or two.
No
And I'm
problem.
sure,
Talk amongst yourselves, everyone.
I'm sure. Let me just end this.
No problem.
Because it's on the Zoom. I did see it. So I did press share screen, the green button. Can you see it now?
Not just yet. Not just yet.
Right, let's do it. So I can, it might be it's just taking time.
Yeah, it might just take a wee second to.
Right, let's see, because select a window and application. So let's do share.
Ah, perfect.
Right, can you see that? Right, I'm going to try.
Just saying that you've started screen sharing. So again, this just might be your computer just booting up here, Afsana, but looks like we're heading in the right direction anyway.
Okay.
Actually, no, perfect.
Right.
All good.
Okay, it's taken me for some reason to the end, so I'm going to try and oh, this is the thing. This is what happens when you like. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? Can you see the first slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
yeah,
great. So you can see the first slide. Great.
Yes, indeed.
I have to play around with my boxes. Okay.
It's all good. All part of the fun.
It's all good. Okay, so we know where we are. Okay, I'll just jump to it. So basically, for those who are not familiar, our charity's patron, I know there are a lot of people coming from abroad as well, is headed up by Prince Charles. And basically what the Prince's Trust do, we are on a mission to help young people to transform their lives by giving them the confidence and skills to live, learn and earn. And the way we do that is mostly through the programs, which I will talk about a little bit later. The main cohort group that we support are 11 to 30-year-olds. We support them in a variety of ways. We do work in schools. We do work through our programs. Our flagship program actually is an enterprise program. It's one of our most popular and oversubscribed, and it's particularly not post-COVID, but during the pandemic, it's had a high demand for that. And that, I think, would be of value and use to JCI in terms of what you're looking at in terms of employability and business entrepreneurship. Our ultimate goal is to help young people to secure a job and a meaningful job. So most of the things that we try and do is to stay away from, obviously, 0-hour contracts and those. It's really working with a lot of employers to try and give young people the best opportunity and start that they can have. Why do we do that? Why are we here? The Trust has been actually going for 45 years. I was going to do a little quiz with you, but it'll take a bit of time. As you are probably aware, there's growing inequality in the UK. Unemployment for young people has really shot through the roof. Pandemic, and even before the pandemic, it was quite high. And one of the things that we have done this year is done some large studies around young people's mental health and well-being. And that is a thread that runs through all our programs, supporting young people's mental health and well-being. And you will see that in some of the work that we do. Okay, so here we have on this slide, I just want to give you just a short insight of how we support young people. We have 8 core programs, and our flagship program, probably our most popular one, is the enterprise program. And I'll, again, happy to take questions on that. But our largest program by numbers is the work we do in school. We run a program called Achieve across, mostly across deprived boroughs. So you spoke about Woolwich and Greenwich, places like that, Hackney, Tower Hamlets. So I'm actually responsible for the South. So we try and look at the indices of deprivation and really target our help into those areas that have obviously the most need. We also do research. I'll come on to speak about that, and we collaborate with institutions to do that research. And a large part of the work that we do is with government. We deliver quite large-scale government programs around employability. We work with businesses. You spoke about mentoring. Mentoring features in almost 99% of our work. We work with mentors. We're always looking for mentors. And also we have quite, I mean, in our region alone, we have about 1,200 volunteers who provide mentoring services and a range of other support. And we also collaborate with organisations such as yourselves. We haven't done so yet, but I'm hoping by the end of the evening, we'll have some ideas on how we do that. So we work with a lot of partner organisations. I understand that NSPCC are on this, I think on this call as well, the NARDO. So there's a whole host of charities that we work with. 3 in 4 young people supported by the Trust end up in work, education, employment or training. So that tells us that what we are doing works. So we have a fairly good eye of what works and what doesn't work. That was all good until the pandemic hit us. And one of the things we've had to do, like most organisations, is most of our delivery took place in our centres. We have centres across the UK. And obviously we used to have young people coming into our centres, but COVID put a stop to that. And almost overnight, we had to transform and pivot all our services online. It's amazing how we did it. You know, we're still trying to figure out how that was possible for an organisation as large as ours. But at the moment, and up until obviously the lockdown restrictions end, pretty much everything is virtual. But we are looking to restart our working centres again, and I can talk about that if anyone's interested. Mental health. I think again a common feature of what's happening across the globe is young people's well-being and mental health. We did 2 really flagship research this year. One of the research we found was that 1 in 4 young people feel they're unable to cope with life since the start of the pandemic. We have a youth index that we do annually, and that is specifically to measure young people's well-being over time. So it has, like everywhere else, deteriorated in COVID. There's some healthy stats there for you. And the other big study we did, it's all on our website. So if you're interested or you want to source it and use it for your work, please do so. It's widely available. The other big work that we did, the study around mental health, actually was showing a sharp drop in girls' well-being. I mean, there's lots of issues around gender violence and harassment, discrimination. And there's some interesting things there within that study of how, for example, social media and well-being has affected young women in particular. No surprises, I think, but this study is very, very insightful, so I would encourage you to read it. I want to just sort of come to towards the end, and I'm not sure how I'm doing for time, William, so you'll just have to sort of remind me.
You've got 6 minutes, including questions.
Great, okay.
You're all good.
Okay, good, because I've got a little bit of film at the end. So the pandemic and beyond, given what we know and what we've been doing, our focus and priority is really about tackling social mobility. We are really going to focus on helping those that are the most disadvantaged. So being very much smarter about how we work and where we target. We're really looking to strengthen our partnerships. Without partnership working, we wouldn't be able to do our work and do this targeting. Like everyone else, we are also very financially challenged. Again, no surprises. Diversity, inclusion, a really big focus on the back of the Black Lives Matter. We have quite a bit of work going on with that internally and externally. And mental health, no surprises, it's going to be a big feature of us in terms of going forward and programs that we have to support young people. I wanted to end with a positive sort of core sort of message to yourselves, really, is come and partner with us. we are actively looking at ways of collaborating with organisations, and there are 3 ways that you can do that. The Prince's Trust has a referral partner scheme. A lot of organisations, if you have young people, you spoke about enterprise, you will have young people coming to you for a variety of reasons. If we can help them, we will, through our programs that I spoke about. We have those 8 core programs. We also have partners who are delivery partners. What that might look like is we, for example, collaborate with museums and universities to deliver courses or programs or initiatives for us. JCI, or through your partner network, you might be one of those partners that can help us deliver some of that. And the third is collaborate. I gave one example where we collaborate on research and advocacy. There will be other ways that we will find to collaborate with. So there are 3 routes, essentially, where we could work in partnership with organisations like yourselves. And I'm only going to play this short film because I just love the young people here. It's inspirational. So before the pandemic, we did this work. We obviously talk to young people all the time about how we can support and empower them. And we ran this event. We co-collaborate and co-design a lot with young people. So it's not all about us delivering and doing everything. It's about young people. And one of the young people that we supported, who used to be one of our young ambassadors, who's very successful, he ran an event with us for young people. So I will just play that.
Just conscious of Sana, back to the technical point, if you don't mind. In order for us to hear the film, which I think everyone would really like to do, you might just have to reshare your screen and make sure you've ticked the box that says play computer sound, if you don't mind. I think you can also do it via the options bar there in your share screen. Just FYI, if you can hear me, maybe not. All the fun of virtual events, folks, there. All good.
Right, so I will stop.
Afsana, sorry to interrupt you.
I'll stop sharing there.
You know, sorry to interrupt you. Unfortunately, we couldn't actually hear that wonderful film.
Oh, okay. Could you see it?
I did try to mention it, but quite, I'm sure, amusingly, or for everybody who was watching me trying to communicate with you there, you probably couldn't hear me over the sound of the video, so it's all good.
Oh well, this is what happened. So sorry.
No, here, if you wouldn't mind, though. Perhaps you could tell us where we could find that film, or I think it's The Prince's Trust, The Last Stand. Is that what it is there?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I watched it all myself, right?
You did, and I hope you enjoyed it. It looked great.
Yeah.
So maybe we could find out a bit more about The Last Stand and that work, because it looks amazing.
I can send that through.
Please do, and even if you maybe dropped it into the chat box, that would be great.
Yeah.
And we could find out a bit more about it. So thank you very much for that. Don't worry, worse things happen at sea, as they say. One thing I would like to ask, if you don't mind. So we'll maybe stop your screen sharing just now. Bring it right back. One thing I would like to ask is one of the themes and things you mentioned during your presentation was around collaboration and collaboration with ourselves And I think that's a really exciting opportunity, and it'll be good to work on that with you. But as regards locally, how that could work for you in the Prince's Trust in the Southern region, what would be the best way to take that forward? Would it be good to connect with Emmanuel and Miriam tonight, or what do you think's the best way? Just those guys are
whatever way you find that easy. I mean, you have my details. My door is open. So if people feel that they want to contact me directly, then that's fine. I mean, obviously a lot of focus, I mean, London is quite a big area, so it probably would be wise to start off with London, but we have access across the country. So if JCI feel that they want to do something more national or within specific regions, I know you're doing something in Northern Ireland, then I'm happy to put you in touch with the right people as well.
Yeah, really good. And I think I'd just like to speak to that point you made at the beginning about the values of the organizations are very similar. And I think we are all about trying to empower young people, definitely. So we should really try and make that happen, and we will. So thank you very much for your input this evening. Does anybody else have any questions for Afsana, or like to know anything more about that film, maybe? we weren't able to watch. I'm only joking, I'm teasing you. Any questions at all, or are we all good? We've got some thank yous coming through there, Afsana. So that's
I've actually seen some of the programs being advertised on social media, and they look really well. So in terms of that, I don't know if you have any involvement with that side of stuff. Any advice you could give us at JCI in terms of how you're reaching out in your social media and promoting some of these programs that you have? I think that's been quite something I've seen heavily.
Okay.
good stuff. And yeah, you're aware of some of the work with the Prince's Trust then, Phoebe, already?
Yeah, the enterprise program, I've seen quite a lot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was interesting to hear about the other programs that you have.
Yeah. I mean, I can obviously, I mean, I've sent William a sort of a quick guide to our programs. So maybe William, to people on the call, I don't know if it's possible, but maybe you want to forward that on, and that gives you a bit more detail about our programs. And you know, I just want to say that obviously you come in touch with a lot of people. If there are young people who you feel would benefit from our support and services, then please do refer them to the Prince's Trust. And if you feel, I was very interested in the London initiatives that you've got, and I will try and pop a call in the London team, and we could obviously have some, I think, some healthy discussions about how we could work together.
Awesome. And you're getting a celebration emoji there from Emmanuel, so
good. Sounds good, Afsana. Thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Excellent. Okay, well, that's great. Well, I'll connect you two, I think, on email, and sure we can take from there. But that's wonderful. Thank you, Afsana, for that input, and thank you for those contributions. Excellent. Okay, so let's see if we can move along hopefully with minimal technical hitches, but we'll see. So next up, we've got another input from one of our local organizations. I love this photo of Michael here, action shot. If Michael, are you there? Are you?
Yeah, I'm here, William.
What's that from? Is it from a?
That was from the public speaking competition in Doncaster.
Ah, right, very good. Excellent, at one of the national conventions. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you take it away then, Michael. Tell us a bit more about what's going on in Southampton.
Yeah, so last year, so I'm going to talk about a bit what we did last year. It's pretty relevant to what we're doing this year. So last year we ran the Think Local campaign, and that was encouraging people, probably before it became a really popular campaign everywhere, to help encourage people to shop locally. So this revolved around, you know, not going to Tesco, going to your local butchers, supporting the local high street. And I think in the same ilk, that's sort of where we want to go in 2021, and we sure should be aiming to do that, to support local businesses. And there's certainly going to be a theme of that in this year's projects for Southampton as well. And then the year before that, we ran the single-use reduce campaign, and that focused on cutting out single-use plastics. I know you might ask, what does that have to do with JCI RISE? But I suppose I'm trying to build on those successes and then combine that and use that as for something that we can do in 2021. So the main project in 2021 will be the Career Academy. So we are doing that actually with a very similar charity to Prince's Trust, but a Southampton sort of based version. And I know I spoke to Asana in the call about it last time. So the charity we're working with is called No Limits, and they work with 16 to 24-year-olds. And they offer all plethora of advice and assistance for people of that age, and that can dealing with relationship issues, counselling, all the way to career advice and help getting a job, and that's where we come in. We've set up a relationship, and actually the person from No Limits is actually a former JCI Southampton member, so that's quite helpful. And we are going to offer mentoring advice, training for young people. And the great thing about No Limits as well is that the people who come to them have come almost like how people join JCI or the Prince's Trust. They come as people who want help. It isn't forced upon them. So it's really great that we'll be able to offer coaching, career advice, and general assistance in like helping direct people towards the advice they need. And it's great also that we can actually offer the mentor training, as that's not really something that was in No Limits offer to the people. And we felt this was a thing that we could really contribute, having so many members who are in professional careers and have probably not started off in the same career to which they are now, which is one of the focuses that we discussed as a local Southampton team, to sort of help people understand that they are where they are now, but they can move into different careers if they get the right advice and the right mentoring. So this really aims to help young people back into work, particularly people from young deprived areas who No Limits deal with. So I think it's a great addition to the RISE initiative. And as we sort of discussed, there's great synergies with the Prince's Trust. So then other projects for the year, we will be continuing the single-use reduce, but also putting that together with the sort of Think Local campaign, which encourages the sustainability and ethical practice for the members in Southampton, to encourage people to shop ethically, shop local. And then at the end, we are planning to have the JCI Ireland initiative, the Friendly Business Awards, which focuses on, local good practice of business and also sustainable practice. And we really hope this will sort of kickstart and encourage and promote small businesses in Southampton. And I'm also working with the Chamber of Commerce to build relationships to help promote this campaign as we speak, and the University of Solent. And then other projects that are less related to the RISE goal, but I think are related because they help the vulnerable, much as we've spoken about with the Prince's Trust, is the Needle Room initiative that I've discussed for a number of years and probably has been hampered by the pandemic. But this is to do a feasibility study to look at the feasibility of having a needle room in Southampton, as Southampton is often had the nickname the southern city, so the northern city in the south. Oh, thanks, Asana. And so that's really about working with local council members that I've set up the relationship pre-COVID, and trying to influence them and really sort of push home the ideals of looking after the most vulnerable people. And often these are young people because they haven't found their way in the world. So it's all about setting up that campaign and telling people what it looks like and why we should do it and why we should have compassion for people who are struggling, much in the same initiatives that we all want to mentor people who want to get into a work. We need to have compassion for people who are at the bottom, because people don't choose to be at the bottom. That's just where they're left. And then I think I'll end on that. Thanks. So any questions, feel free to ask and go ahead. And if anyone wants to discuss, collaborate on their ideas, I'm happy to link up and work with people to deliver more impact in our projects.
Excellent, and thank you, Michael, for that offer as well of collaboration at the end. Such a wide range and depth of projects that you have got going on there at Southampton, and that's wonderful. I think just from some of the one-to-ones that we've been having recently as well, it's been great to hear about some of the ambition that you've got with those projects as well, and the collaborations that you're doing. So congratulations on those. Does anyone have any questions for Michael before we move on? Does anyone have any questions about any of those wonderful projects at the minute? Maybe not. No problem. No problem. All good. Well, thank you, Michael, for that input, and well done on all of your work. It would be, and I guess we'll try and link people up after this in case anybody maybe wants to ask you anything offline. Okay, so we'll move on. So I think next up we'll have, if Joanne's there, Joanne McMaster from the NSPCC. Good to have you along. Hi, Joanne. Good to have you along this evening. See if I can find you here on my Zoom bar. There you are. I'm just going to spotlight you for everyone, if that's all right. So Joanne's joining us this evening from NSPCC. Joanne and I think we've become good friends.
Yeah.
Haven't we, Joanne?
We definitely have.
Yes, it's good to see you along this evening. So we're really interested to hear about, I guess, potentially a new partnership or organisation. I don't think JCI's maybe worked with the NSPCC, well, not recently anyway, in my time, on a national basis, but it'd be great to hear about some of the work that's going on in the NSPCC. If you wouldn't mind sharing that with us.
Yep, if you bear with me, and I'm going to try and share my screen here.
You should be able to kick me off there, but I'll maybe just stop sharing my screen just to be sure, Joanne.
Okay.
It's good to see a lot of activity in the chat tonight, and people feeling really inspired, I think, by some of the projects going on, which is super. Anything stood out for you, Phoebe, this evening yet, or?
No, they've all been really interesting. Southampton has a wide variety of things going on there, so I think if people are interested, they will find something to get involved with.
Yeah, definitely. And I think these events are great, just even for ideas, you know, and find out different projects that might work in your local area as well. Okay, well, it looks like, Joanne, you've got your screen sorted there, so I'll let you.
Great. Brilliant. Okay, so thank you so much for inviting me along tonight. It's really great to be here. Just to begin, I want to introduce myself. So my name is Joanne McMaster, and I'm the Supporter Fundraising Manager at NSPCC in Northern Ireland. I've worked for NSPCC for about 7 years. It's my job to manage the fundraising team in Northern Ireland and to bring in the income we need to provide the services for children and young people. So just a little bit about me. Previous to working for NSPCC, I worked in the world of publishing and wholesaling, and I owned a retail outlet. Due to my own life experiences, I made a conscious decision to change direction and went back to college and retrained as a counsellor. I volunteered with Childline, and eventually I became a staff member and gone on to work across many different services at NSPCC in Northern Ireland before joining the fundraising team about 3 years ago. Just before going any further, I'd also like to thank William just for inviting me along this evening. It's a pleasure to be here and to meet you all, and to have the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about the work that we do at NSPCC. So let me just, there we go. So our mission statement at NSPCC, or our strap line, if you like, is every childhood is worth fighting for. Because while children are at risk of abuse and neglect, we won't stop fighting for change and more protection to keep children safe. So abuse ruins childhoods, but it can be prevented. That's why we're here, and that's what drives all our work. And that's why, as long as there's abuse, we'll continue to fight. So what do we do? The NSPCC has been protecting children from cruelty since 1884. Lots of things have changed since then, not only within NSPCC, but in terms of the risk to children and young people. NSPCC are the only children's charity with statutory powers, which means we can take action to safeguard children. We've got 26 centres for children across the UK, and we've got one in Jersey as well. At NSPCC, 90% of our income comes from the generosity and support of the general public and people like you here tonight. So some of the themes that we run in our centres right across the UK, where we do our face-to-face work and therapeutic support with children and young people, are we work with children who have been sexually and physically abused, children who have been neglected, children who are living in homes with domestic abuse, drug or alcohol abuse, and children living with a parent or carer with a severe mental illness. And we also work with children in care. Our strategy for 2016 to 2021 has been to make 5 million children safer. So there are 14 million children right across the UK. We have made 6.3 million children safer. So how have we been able to do this? Well, 16,000 children attended therapies at NSPCC centres for children and families, and we shared over 80,000 referrals with external agencies such as police, children's services and CEOP via our helpline. And of course, many more of our services such as Childline, Speak Out Stay Safe School Service and our Child Protection and Sport team, to name just a few, which have had a huge impact in reaching vulnerable children. Our Speak Out Stay Safe programme is free for all primary schools across the UK. The aim is preventative, educating children on all forms of abuse and neglect using child-friendly language. This programme is delivered to all children. We give children the language to use to speak out to trusted adults in their life if they have a worry or something is happening to them, no matter how big or how small. As you can see in this slide, excuse me, I've mentioned that we have now covered over 90% of primary schools right across the UK. And just to give you an idea, to run the service in Northern Ireland alone costs us just over £191,000 in Northern Ireland, and we deliver that service every 3 years. Another area of our focus is campaigning. We lobby government for changes to the law to better protect children and young people, and we run local campaigns such as our Pants campaign that you can see here in the slide. We share our Pants campaign with schools, nurseries, community groups, and we deliver webinar sessions to parents from our corporate partnerships. At NSPCC, we provide adults, carers, teachers, GPs, professionals with advice, guidance and support, and we take action on their behalf if they have concerns about a child who is either being abused or at risk of abuse at home. Last year, our helpline responded to almost 69,000 contacts from adults who were concerned about a child's welfare. The number of people contacting our helpline with concerns about drug and alcohol misuse among parents has risen by 66% in comparison to last year. And then Childline. We have 2 NSPCC Childline bases in Northern Ireland. We have one in Belfast and we've got one in Foyle. But of course, we have 12 Childline bases across the whole of the UK. Childline is a volunteer-led service and we're always recruiting for new volunteers across all of our bases. Childline's celebrating its 35th birthday this year, launched in 1986 by Esther Ranson. Childline is a confidential, free 24-hour helpline for all young people under the age of 19. They can talk to Childline about anything that worries them, and they can get in touch by phone or online for a real-time one-to-one chat or by email. The way young people communicate has changed, and we've had to change too, to be there for them when they need us most. 89% of the contacts to Childline are from children aged 12 to 15 years old. Children and families have faced extraordinary challenges because of coronavirus pandemic, and the next few months will be no different. And we know from the counselling sessions we've delivered that children's mental health has been directly impacted. For children living in homes that are not safe, where there's violence, addiction or abuse, they're finding it especially difficult. And lockdown has brought domestic abuse into sharp focus. And that was the case for one young boy who contacted Childline who was aged 10. He told us how he'd only become aware of what had been happening since the stay-at-home measures because the whole family had been stuck in the house together all the time. If he was in the room at the time, he would be told to turn around or leave the room. He said, "We should be allowed to go back to school now, so my stepdad stops hitting mum." Young people in times of stress often find that their friends and the security of school are crucial to their mental well-being. Without them, they're isolated and alone. When Childline first launched in 1986, the main concern children talked about was sexual abuse. The top 3 concerns that young people speak to us about at Childline now are mental and emotional well-being, family relationships, and suicidal thoughts and feelings. That hasn't changed in the past 2 years. They have remained the top 3 concerns. And as you can see on the screen in front of you, the top 10 concerns that young people talk to us about at Childline. Since the start of January, our service has delivered almost 7,000 counselling sessions to children and young people who've got in touch about coronavirus alone. Every week since lockdown, our service has delivered over 2,000 counselling sessions with children concerned about their mental health and well-being. At NSPCC, we're always looking for volunteers to help us deliver our services at Childline and in our school service, albeit we're delivering to schools remotely at the minute. If you visit our website, you'll find lots of information on how you can get involved to volunteer with NSPCC. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, I work in the fundraising department at NSPCC, and it's been extremely challenging right now as all of our planned fundraising events have been cancelled over the past 12 months and many more are cancelled going forward. It's vital that we fundraise if we're going to continue to be here for children and young people. If you're considering fundraising for a charity, perhaps you could consider supporting our work at NSPCC. At NSPCC, we celebrate Childhood Day on the 11th of June this year. This is a day when we can all come together to support every childhood. We're asking individuals and organisations to get involved in the month of June, and the theme this year is play. Could you be a childhood hero and help us raise awareness and funds? Just to give you an idea of some of the examples of the difference fundraising could make for supporting local children in your area, £4 could enable a trained Childline counsellor to answer a call from Childline. £100 could answer 25 calls to Childline, and £1,600 could help recruit, train and support a new volunteer at Childline. And £2,852 is what it costs to run our Belfast base just for one day. So that gives you an idea of the cost that the amount of money that it costs to run a service like Childline. And as I said earlier, 90% of our income comes from the generosity of the general public. Two of the things that I would really like to highlight is that we are always looking for volunteers at NSPCC right across the UK. So if you have a look on our Childline website, you'll find lots of ways that you can get involved, whether it be through fundraising or volunteering. And if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me personally, and my email address is just at the bottom of your screen there. And I'm happy to take any questions right now if anybody has any.
Well, thank you very much, Joanne, for that presentation. Some real startling figures there, I think, that we all need to be aware of around the protection that you do for children and the challenge I think that we all face as a society for that. Really interesting as well. I know you've only joined the call just now, but seeing as this is under the RISE umbrella, I think some really useful contributions from you there about how both we can engage the workforce, which is one of the themes of RISE, through fundraising potentially for NSPCC, but also supporting positive mental health. And I think it's fairly obvious how supporting the NSPCC will do that as well. So two good themes and how they tie in with the work of the NSPCC there. So thank you so much, Joanne, for that. Wonderful. Does anybody have any questions for Joanne or about the wider work of the NSPCC that you would like to ask? Well, we've got her. All good.
I have a quick question, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Melissa. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So for anyone who wants to volunteer on the helpline, for example, what kind of training would the NSPCC provide? Well, I'm actually in Ireland, so the ISPCC, would it be kind of similar training?
It probably would, Melissa. So at the minute, we are desperate for volunteers, and that's being blunt. We are struggling to keep up with the demand of the calls coming through. So just to give you an insight, a child contacts Childline every 25 seconds. That's a lot of calls coming through to Childline all of the time. So in terms of the training, we have a couple of options. A lot of people start with Childline as a switchboard volunteer, so that's not actually speaking to children and young people. That's, you know, putting the calls through from the children and young people, letting them know that they're going to be in a queue. There might be a little while that they'll have to wait for a counsellor, and then when a counsellor becomes available, of course they can speak. So that's one thing. There are different options. I mentioned earlier that children get in contact with Childline in many different ways. So they get in touch by phone, they get in touch by email, and they get in touch online. So we have dual counsellors at Childline, and they're very experienced counsellors. They are counsellors who will do all three. So 1 minute they could be picking up the phone and speaking to a child, and then the next contact that comes through to them is perhaps an email, probably very high risk, and then the next contact that will come through to them would be a one-to-one chat. But we can do training individually for those. So the quickest training to become a Childline volunteer is an email, which we call a PIB. It's a personal inbox mail. So that is the quickest training that we do. To be a voice counsellor at Childline, the training is around 55 hours. So we do that in the evenings, and we do it around or over maybe weekends. At the minute, all of the training is virtual. You apply to be a Childline counsellor, and then you would have an interview to see if you're suitable to work with the children. They contact us, and then you go into the training. The training is absolutely amazing. I've done it myself. And one thing that I would point out is that, a lot of people would say, oh, I don't think I could do that. Oh, I don't know what I would say. You don't have to worry about anything like that. There is always supervisors in the room whenever you're taking contacts from children and young people. So we're always managing the risk. And at any time, if a volunteer counsellor, for example, was new and just wasn't sure where the conversation was going, they're able to raise their hand, and a supervisor will come and listen into the call or support them with that email, or give them a bit of direction as to where to go with that one-to-one chat. So you can train in stages. You can train to be a switchboarder. You can train to be a personal inbox and email volunteer, and then you can move on and do some more training to become a one-to-one counsellor and a voice counsellor. But you can do it in stages. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Great. Thank you, guys. Any more questions?
I had a question.
Go for it, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just trying to understand, because I know a lot of charities seen an influx of volunteers amongst the pandemic. I was wondering if it was the same for you, and or is that why you're not struggling to keep up? I'm just trying to understand the situation.
Yeah, it's actually very different for us, because we have had a drop in volunteers during the pandemic. So whilst we have seen a huge increase in demand for our services, we have seen a drop in volunteers. Quite a few reasons for that. So basically, for we have a wide range of demographics within our volunteers at Childline. So we have retired people who are maybe more vulnerable, of an older generation, and they're maybe shielding or not able to come into base to give their shift. We can't do our Childline volunteering virtually. We have to come into the base to do it because of the risk to children and young people. So we have had a reduction in volunteers because of that. We have also had a reduction in volunteers because of maybe people having to travel on public transport that, you know, didn't feel safe, or, you know, because of the stay-at-home guidance, weren't able to do that. We've had a reduction in volunteers because of maybe students who are at university who want to gain experience and are volunteering with us have gone home during the pandemic, and they're no longer close to the base where they volunteer. And also in terms of you know, maybe mums and dads that, you know, have a young family, they then themselves weren't able to get childcare to have their children looked after, so therefore they weren't able to come into the base to give their shift either. So I think at one point we had a reduction of 40% in volunteers able to support us, while at the same time, you know, we were having a huge demand for our services and we weren't able to, you know, answer every call. And that's absolutely heartbreaking that we can't be there, you know, when children need us, particularly because they are out of sight, you know, they're behind closed doors. So for a child who maybe has something going on for them and gets support in school or support from their friends, or, you know, can go to a friend's house or maybe extended family's home whenever something's just not good in their own home, they haven't been able to do that. So, you know, you can understand why there would be an increased demand for our services. You know, what we were able to do was the staff that we had and volunteers that we had in our Speak Out Stay Safe programme, where we go in and deliver assemblies and workshops for primary school children. Well, obviously because of the pandemic we haven't been able to, you know, deliver those face to face, and we now have a virtual offering that we give to primary schools. So we were able to transfer some of the staff from that service into Childline to help, you know, to pick up some of the contacts coming in. So that was really helpful. But yeah, we're still down in volunteer numbers because obviously people are still shielding or not getting back to normal as yet.
Yeah, I certainly understand that, especially with the rise of like domestic abuse in the pandemic. I can definitely see how you would get to where you are now. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Great. Okay. Any more questions at all for Joanne? We're giving you a grilling tonight, Joanne.
I love it. It's great. Keep it coming.
I also have a question. Is there any way that we can like do it from home, or it should be based on your places for sure? Like.
Yeah, good question, and thank you. It's we can't do Childline volunteering from home at all, unfortunately. The number one, we don't have the technology to make that work, and number two, we have to manage the risk to children and young people. So, for example, if you picked up a call or a contact from a young person who told you that they'd just self-harmed and were bleeding badly, you wouldn't have the equipment on your home computer to be able to trace that call and find where that young person is, you know, through the IP address, or, you know, we would ring out to the police in that local area to find where that young person is, and we would get help to them through emergency services. So we don't have the ability to do Childline volunteering from home. It definitely is something that has came, you know, right sharp into focus during the pandemic, but at the moment it's not something that we can do.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we do have 12 bases across the UK. So, you know, if you were to have a look on our website for volunteering opportunities at Childline, you would be able to see if there's a base close to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Joanna.
I
Thanks,
was also asked about it before. I was also asked about some people. Some people told me that they want to work with children and I mean volunteering projects with children. That's why I want to ask about it and how it would be. I will check your website and will forward them to your website as well, and we'll see how it can be. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, you're very welcome.
Cool. And I think, staying on the theme of this evening, which is and why we've brought you along, Joanne, and it's wonderful to hear more about the work of the NSPCC. It is about collaboration also, so it'd be really useful to follow up with you. I think you and I can follow up and maybe get some of those details about how people can become practically involved. So maybe get their training for volunteering on Childline, etc. And maybe I can share that with some of the attendees and our wider membership perhaps as well.
Yeah.
So that'd be really good. I'm sure it's something that our members would be really interested in. But we are going to press on, if that's okay. So
yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Joanne, for your contribution and your enthusiastic contribution as well. Always enthusiastic, so thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, William.
You're no problem at all. Thanks for coming along. So what we've got next, we do have a couple more presentations just on our second last one then. Is from our good friend, Agila Makangu from JCI Chester. So Agila, I know you're there somewhere. And you have a really interesting and original project, I think, to tell us a little bit about. So I'm just going to spotlight you for everybody, and it's over to you.
Okay, thanks, William. I don't think I can share my screen.
I'll stop sharing mine maybe and see if that works.
Yes, that worked perfectly.
No problem. Give that a try and see. Perfect.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
I hope so. Wonderful. Right, so we are really excited to be sharing this project as part of the JCI RISE initiative. This is a collaboration between JCI Chester and JCI Nottingham. So the idea came from Isabel initially, and she, okay, that's much better. Not sure what you can see. Can you see the screen? Yes. Yeah, and somehow I put the subtitle on. So yeah, here we go. So she shared the idea with me, and I just thought, yeah, let's go with it. It sounds like a very great idea. The title is still something we can work on, but we have settled for JCI Language Cafe. The idea is for it to become the cornerstone of international networking online. We have decided to come up with this idea now because times of challenges offer us an opportunity to grow, increase our awareness, and widen our perspective of the world, and also help reduce stress. We find that learning a new language is definitely important, and we also believe that it's part of some of the activities that a lot of people have taken during this pandemic to help reduce stress, to change their opinion, or just do something different. So we wanted to incorporate it as part of the mental health aspect of the JCI RISE initiative. And the aim is for us to provide a platform of online language conversation, improve language skills, and help our participants to learn a new language, meet new people from around the world, especially new JCs from around the world, and networking, as well as just having fun in general. So we will hopefully, through this project, build a database of JCs that are around the world and all the things they do, and see how we can collaborate further to improve and grow this from just being a language learning group to a more social group, or maybe even businesses if we can. So the first phase, because we are still in the research phase, I have to say, but we have already decided on 4 languages, which we thought, well, some of them are the main ones, others could be of interest to some people. So we've got Spanish, Dutch, Estonian, and French. And we're aiming to have at least 1 session every 2 weeks, which will last for an hour and a half. And we are also working into deciding on specific topics and questions that can be during the session. So people could learn some words such as things to do with food, and also the culture. So how places to go to, how to visit, strange rules, especially now, I think, different countries have different rules when it comes to the pandemic. So it'd be nice to have those kind of conversations in a very relaxed environment. And also maybe find out what coronavirus is called in another language, if it's not coronavirus. I'm hoping some people don't use that word. So as part of the beta testing, I was looking online and I found that a couple of years ago, I think, JCI Sofia did something similar. So they had a language group, and which ran for 5 years. So I believe there is a potential for it to actually be something that will run efficiently. So we've reached out to JCI Sofia as well, and we have a meeting next week to gain some perspectives from what they've done in the past, get advice, because again, back then it was definitely a physical event and now we are online. So if there are any things they can share with us so we can make it a success, sorry. So yeah, so anyone in today, is there anyone who's actually learning a new language at the moment? No?
I would love to learn a new language, Sheila. Phoebe's going to raise his hand there.
Awesome. Phoebe, you
I'm
learning?
learning a language. I'm trying.
Swedish? Amazing. Yeah, I mean, it can be challenging, but I mean, when you get in a room full of people having fun and trying to learn a new language is about also being a bit silly. I'm also learning a new language at the moment, and I'm not gonna lie, it's like you speak out loud, there's no one to hear you, but it's just funny how bad your pronunciation can be from time to time, or how good. And when it's good, it's probably a bit of a surprise as well. Oh my God, I said that right, thank you. But yeah, so do you speak a foreign language? Let's practice them together. Are you curious about exploring other cultures? We definitely expect participants from European countries and also hopefully other parts of the world. Want to meet new people? Yeah, we will definitely guarantee that it's a platform that's offer a friendly atmosphere and lots of fun. Right, so our main focus based on the JCI RISE initiative would be mental health and well-being and networking. We have not considered business, but that's something that we're hoping will grow, or we also grow out of this. We are offering language exchange, cultural knowledge, and networking, as I said. I think I've repeated myself on that. And so, again, because it's not so obvious for a lot of people, why would I learn a new language as part of what is it about mental health that is so connected to languages? What we found doing the research is that learning a new language, even just a few sentences to get by, improve your cognitive functions. So you have a better attention control, improve your memory retention, better way to look at abstract and symbolic representations and things like that. And so we hope that this will be something that people can take on, continue to learn the language and come back to another session ready to continue improving in the language learning, even if it means putting together a crossword so people can just do it easy. We also found that it helps, again, on the mental health aspect, it helps reduce anxiety and loneliness while boosting confidence. This is definitely something that I've seen in a lot of people as well. Learning a new language pushes you to expose yourself to new expressions, ideas, and people. It literally just opens your mind to ideas that you probably would never have had, or to practices from other cultures that you're not open to. It also helps strengthen connections, form relationships without having to leave your home. And it also is highly beneficial for your well-being while trying to combat the effects of anxiety and loneliness. And also, of course, you get to meet people from all over the world and learn about their countries and cultures. Yeah, so there are other things, of course, with learning a language that are a bit tricky for most people, such as, for example, the barriers of actually getting to grasp with the language. Again, as I said, please remember the idea is for it to be fun. So we hope that the communication will bring that along and translate our understanding of what we're trying to offer. And hopefully we can also learn a favorite song in another language if anyone puts that up as well. Yeah, next slide. So yes, in terms of how this will work, we will definitely need volunteers for languages that we ourselves don't speak. And we hope to, this is where working with other JCI members in other chambers in the UK, or even in other countries in Europe, will be beneficial. So we are in touch definitely with other chambers, other members, to try and see if they can come on board to probably, let's say, have in-country hosts, so someone who can help with French, help with Estonian, Spanish, and Dutch, and also who would be able to help sponsor in case we actually finally get to meet face-to-face and actually have a bigger event altogether. So that is pretty much what we have put together for you, and we really hope that you can join us in this trip around the world from your sofa, your office, your bedrooms, wherever you are. Thank you.
Awesome, Agila, thank you very much for that input and such a wonderful project. I don't know if you noticed when you were talking about, there was a lot of activity going on in the chat box, just all about that project. So well done on that front, really, really good. Certainly, I think probably the most memorable experience I've had in JCI was attending a course in Malta, coaching for inclusion, which was all about, of course, a cultural exchange. So I'd really encourage anyone this evening, or indeed anybody watching the recording of this, to get involved with that project. If people do want to find out a bit more or would like to get involved, and I know there's been a couple of people already are keen, but what's the next steps for them, Agila, to get involved with that project? Contact you or?
Yes, you can get in touch with me and or Isabel as well. We are both running it together, so we'll definitely love to hear from anyone. Any idea that you might have as well might just help to make it the best event on the RISE project.
Yeah.
But yeah, so any ideas or anything, if you want to contribute as a host as well, please just reach out to us.
Splendid. Okay, well, time is moving on, so I think we will move on to our final input, and of course, everybody, we will share all of the contact details from all of our speakers this evening, of course. So if you would like to follow up with Agila or indeed anyone else, then you'll be able to do so after the event. So all good. Okay, so we're going to come on to our final contribution this evening, and I know, Amy, you've been waiting patiently there all evening to tell us a little bit more about this amazing project you've got going on through East Belfast Community Development Agency. So I'll pass it over to you.
Great, William. Great job. Thanks very much, William, and thanks for inviting me along this evening as well. So I'm going to just pop up a short presentation. I'm not going to talk too much. Mine is a bit more visual, so I'm going to then leave it open to you. If you have any questions then at the end, feel free to ask. So no problem. I'll just share the screen here now. Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yep, all good.
Okay, cool. So as William says there, my name is Amy Ash. I work for an organisation called East Belfast Community Development Agency, which is an umbrella community organisation within East Belfast. And my role specifically focuses around engaging young people. So my role is Inner East Youth Work Coordinator. So today I'm going to talk about the East Belfast Youth Mentoring Programme. I'm going to talk through the purpose of it, how the programme looks and where it is at the minute. This is very much a new programme, and the idea of it came about from whenever I was in the States, not October past, but the October before, and it was an Emerging Leaders Programme, very much around sharing practice of what was working well in the States. And I felt this was a model of practice that could be applied to East Belfast and have huge potential. So that's a bit of the background of it. The purpose of the programme is to provide young people with an opportunity to improve their future selves and the community that they live in through raising aspirations, building connections outside of their community, and then also developing new relationships as well. And I'm just going to pop up here as well a programme timeline. And this programme itself, I had applied for funding for it. As I say, it was a pilot, well, it still is a pilot programme, and it'll be reviewed at the end to see how well it's worked. It has been going really well. Obviously, COVID has put a few barriers in the way, but we've tried to overcome them as best we can. So this is really a timeline that I'm going to break down and talk you through the actual programme itself. So the beginning of the programme was all about recruiting mentors and recruiting the mentees. So the mentors were recruited through, William actually is one of the mentors on the programme, which is great, alongside a couple of other colleagues in JCI Belfast. So it's really great to have you guys on board with the programme. And it was very much around at that point creating information workshops for people who was interested or who could potentially be interested in mentoring a young person. The young people themselves were then recruited through East Belfast Youth Practitioners Forum. Now, that's a forum that I coordinate within East Belfast, and it's made up of 30 member organisations, and these are organisations that work with young people in the area of East Belfast. So it was very much working through that forum to promote this opportunity to young people. The next stage then, it was around the application process. So following those workshops with the mentors, it was very much saying, well, who is it's actually interested in getting involved? And that application process, it wasn't very long. It was a one-page application, but within that, the applicant was required to have 2 references. And those were references that I then followed up on as well. And the reason for that was just to give me a better background of the person and to make sure that they were suitable for the post of mentor of a young person. So once the mentors had completed their applications, they then completed training, and that training was around bespoke youth mentoring. They also completed their Keeping Safe training, Module 1, which is child protection, and then they also completed their Access NI checks as well, and those were enhanced Access NI checks that were carried out on all mentors that applied. So once we had our mentors, so at the minute, basically we have a bank of mentors in place. We have approximately 9 or 10 mentors, which has been really, really good. There's been some really, really positive outcomes of that in terms of around people that have been interested, and it's a real range. So we have mentors. We have a guy who's the director of football within the IFA, which is the Irish Football Association within Northern Ireland. We also have business owners. We have a life coach. We have a DJ. We have a photographer. So there's loads of creative fields within that as well. So next stage was then the matching process. So through the youth workers putting it out to the young people, there was young people then interested in getting involved. And that's really the process where we are at now. We would have liked the mentoring to have taken place there in January, but given the restrictions here in Northern Ireland, that wasn't possible in terms of the face-to-face contact to take place. And for a programme like this, it's important that the relationships with the mentors and mentees is organic. And sometimes you find online, whenever a young person is engaging with somebody they don't know, it can be quite awkward and it can be quite a forced relationship as such. So that's not what we wanted. We wanted something organic and something really meaningful. So at the minute we have 4 young people have been actually matched up with 4 mentors, and they will hopefully be starting after Easter time whenever the restrictions ease here in Northern Ireland. So that's really where we are at the minute. I've kind of went on a step there. I talked too much there. So I'll quickly go on to the next slide. The idea would be that the mentor would meet with the mentee on a weekly basis. Would normally be for about an hour session. Alongside that as well, there will be wellbeing events, and that's very much the focus around the mental health aspect. And that could be the likes of physical activity, so it could be some kind of outdoor pursuit, it could be cycling, it could be walking, it could be some kind of water sports, which either the mentor and the mentee can do together, but also then they do as a wider group. So the young people have the opportunity to create relationships with other young people, and the mentors then get that opportunity to create relationships with other mentors and the mentees as well. And then at the end of the programme, there will be a celebration event. So we were actually lucky enough, I actually just found out today that the funder who funds this programme has extended the funding until the end of May, given the current situation that we're in. So hopefully by the end of May, we should have those young people that have been matched with their mentees almost completed the programme, which would be great. So that's really me. More than happy to take any questions that anybody has on the programme itself.
No, thank you, Amy. That was really useful. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you along this evening was because I know that some of our members from JCI Belfast are getting involved in that programme, and one of the ways in which we like to work and we create a lot of impact is through collaboration with other organisations like yourselves, and particularly this great work that you've started, and hopefully it's going to get kicked off after Easter, as you say. But there's maybe, in case there's any questions from anyone else, maybe that you'd like to find out a bit more about this project, or maybe how you could do something like that in your local area. Perhaps, if there's any questions for Amy, let us know. Otherwise, I'm going to have to think of another one to ask you.
I suppose it might be worth adding, Liam, as well. There might be some people on this call that's not familiar with East Belfast as a place. So it might just be worth noting that, because I didn't go into a lot of detail that at the start, but the programme itself is within an area of Belfast that would be recognised as an area of high deprivation. It's also an area that sees a peace wall between it as well. So there's loads of issues that comes with that as well, particularly around the mental health aspect as well. But there's a lot of other pressures put on young people within those areas, so they don't see their potential a lot of the time. And that's why a programme like this is so important in terms of raising their aspirations and what they can actually achieve.
Yeah, definitely, and really good to make that point, because I'm sure some of those points, Amy, around mental health and the challenges, particularly in areas of high socioeconomic deprivation, we'll speak to some of the experiences of the members on this evening. I know it does, so really, really good. Okay, so unless anyone has any questions for Amy, I'm just going to move this on. So thank you, Amy, for that input. Really appreciate it. I'm just going to move us on to our final input this evening, and it's actually, I'm going to share something, if you don't mind, because through some of the work that we do here, we engage with this organisation, UK Youth, and they were hoping to have somebody along this evening, but unfortunately that hasn't quite happened. But we're just going to share this resource that they have created called the Young and Black resource, and it's because UK Youth, which create a lot of amazing campaigns throughout England, actually created this resource very recently in the last couple of weeks to support their Young and Black campaign. So really just the background to this very quickly, folks, was just, and I'll share it with all the attendees this evening, but it was just around the whole George Floyd thing last year and why that was such an important issue to start a conversation around race, both for youth workers, but also within organisations. And really the thing that I found, so I was along with some of the events, the Young and Black events last year, which I know they're going to be running some more in the near future. I noted to Jessica, who's one of the people I was dealing with around this resource, I mentioned that just how challenging some of those events were for me, and really, really interesting and informative events to get along to. So what I would like to do is just share this resource with some of you following this call. And I know it's something that within JCI we're really interested in, to try and keep these conversations going within our organisation as well. So it's really just a bit of a plug for that resource, because I know the guys at UK Youth have worked really hard on it and they're really interested in working with us on this campaign. So this is maybe something we'll be hearing more about as JCI members as the year goes on, so you can keep an eye out for it. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back to my main presentation as we move towards a summary for this evening. So really, just on some of the points, and I'll maybe take some feedback from you in a moment or two, but what we've heard tonight really is projects from both local organisations and our partners across the country, all about JCI RISE, really, whether they're directly projects that were born out of that idea or projects that fit very neatly into the aspects of business recovery, motivating the workforce, and indeed supporting positive mental health. So we've heard from how we can get involved with volunteering through supporting children, to mentoring young people, to supporting lots of different programs through our local organisations. So what I would just say now is, if you would like to connect with any of the speakers this evening, whether they're a JCI member or not, I'll be able to connect you with them. So please get in touch with myself after the event and I'll be able to put you in touch and you can maybe take some of these conversations offline. But Phoebe, maybe if there's any summary or feedback or anything you'd like to add just before we finish formally for this evening, I'd invite you maybe to make a couple of comments now.
Thank you, and thanks for organising this. This has been really, really inspirational just to hear and see what's happening. And I think the really unique thing about this event this evening is we heard from people working in different organisations with similar values to us as JCI, and again showcasing other opportunities for our members to get involved with. I think this is really important now for us to have these type of events and not just having it in our JCI bubble with just our local members and chapters, but including the community in some of these activities and seeing what's happening out there that we could get involved in. So thanks to all the speakers for joining, and of course the local presidents and your teams. I think there's some fantastic events now that we could really promote and get out there to our members. There's always something to get involved with, so this is really exciting.
Great, and thank you, Phoebe, for that. One more thing, if you don't mind, before we go, just a shameless plug for tomorrow night, because I'm really looking forward to this event. Put on by JCI Nottingham and JCI Greenwich. So we've got a paint and Prosecco night. Amy, I don't think you're allowed to come along, you'd be too good. Amy's quite an accomplished artist. She's flattered and I'm embarrassing her now, but I'm going to go along to this, Amy, and give it a try. I've never painted before, but I do have some.
Good luck.
I do, thank you. I'll send you some cool creations. But we do have some Prosecco in the house, and we've got some canvases and paintbrushes, so why not give it a try? So I'll be going along to this.
This is my first experience painting anything, so
yeah.
let's see what happens.
See you there, Phoebe. All good. And I know Isabel, who's been behind organising this event, is here tonight as well. So maybe what I'll do just before we finish up is I'll just stop sharing my screen just now, because I do want to try and give this a little bit of a push. The link to sign up for that event is just dropped into the chat, and we'll share that, Isabel, with everybody who signed up for tonight as well, just later on this evening, so they have an opportunity to find out a bit more. But really looking forward to that event tomorrow night. Looking forward to embarrassing myself.
It honestly will be amazing. We have a lot of people coming from different chambers. We are having painting, Prosecco,